Master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and Master of the devotees. O Master, please be merciful to us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your famous for the Lord, for the free winds. Take shelter of the lotus feet. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschachadeshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Vandamu Isavadana Mate Vandamu Isavadana Mate Jahara Prasade Bhai Ei Bhavatoriyo Jai Jahara Prasade Bhai Hey Bhavatoriyo
Krishna prapti hoi jate. Krishna prapti hoi jate. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Koriya Kya. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chittete Koriya Kya. Arna Koriya Mane Asha. Arna Koriya Mane Asha. Shri Guru Charane Rati Ese Uttama Gati. Shri Guru Charane Rati Ese Uttama Gati. Yes prasade pure hisavasha. Yes prasade pure hisavasha. Chakudan dilo ye janme janme Prabhu se. Chakudan dilo ye janme janme Prabhu se. Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. Prema Bhakti Hoite Avijja Vinasayate. Prema Bhakti Hoite Avijja Vinasayate. Vede Gaya Haracharito. Vede Gaya Haracharito. Lokena Lokera Divana Ha ha Prabhu Kara Gaya Gaya Mori Para Jaya Ha ha Prabhu Kara Gaya Gaya Mori Para Jaya Eveyash Kushuk Tribhuvana Eveyash Kushuk Tribhuvana Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
ISKCON Viviti Founder Church Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaga Church Stotra Sutta Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगामयी की जय। जमुनामयी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। श्रीमती तुलसी देवी महारानी की जय। हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। बृहत मृदंग की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। कार्तिक व्रत की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे समवेत भक्त वृंद की। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Namam Ishvaram Sachidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yasoda Biyolukala Param Rishtam Hatyantato Trutya Gopya Durantamunetra yugmam rijantam Karam boja yugmena satankanetram Muhu swasakam patrire kankakanta Stita kraivam damodaram bhaktivaram Iti Driksvalila Virananda Kunde Swagosham Nimajantam Akhyapayantam Tati Eshita Geshur Bhaktar Jitatvam Puna Prematastam Shatavriti Vande Varam deva moksham na mokshavadim va Nachanyam rineham vare sharapiha Idam teva purnata gopala balam Sadame manasya virastam kimanyai Idam te mukham bojam atyanta nilar Ritam kuntalai snigdha raktaisya gopya Muhushumbitam bimba raktatarang me Manasya virastam malam lakshalabhai Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prasida Prabho Dukha Jalabdi Magnam Kripa drishti vrishyati dinam bhatanu Grihane shamamagyam hedyakshi drishya Kuveratmajavadam uchaiva yadva Tvayamochito bhakti bhajo krito cha Tata prema bhaktim swakam me prayascha Namokshe grahom me sidam modareha Namaste studamne spuradipti damne Twadihyotarayata vishvashadamne Namaradhikaya tvariya priyaya Namo nanta lilaya devaya tubhyam Namaradhikaya tvariya priyaya Namo nanta lilaya devaya tubhyam Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
To the Supreme Controller, who possesses an eternal form of blissful knowledge, whose glistening earrings swing to and fro, who manifested himself in Gokula, who stole the butter that the gopis kept hanging from the rafters of their storerooms, and who then quickly jumped up and ran in retreat in fear of Mother Yashoda, but was ultimately caught. To that Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances. Upon seeing his mother's whipping stick, he cried and rubbed his eyes again and again with his 2 lotus hands. His eyes were fearful and his breathing quick, and as Mother Yashoda bound his belly with ropes, he shivered in fright and his pearl necklace shook. To this Supreme Lord, Sri Damodar, I offer my obeisances. Those super excellent pastimes of Lord Krishna's babyhood drown the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy. To the devotees who are attracted only to his majestic aspect of Narayan and Vaikuntha, the Lord herein reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion. To the Supreme Lord Damodar, my obeisances hundreds and hundreds of times. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for liberation, nor eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon. My only prayer is that your childhood pastimes may constantly appear in my mind. O Lord, I do not even want to know your feature of Paramatma. I simply wish that your childhood pastimes may ever be enacted in my heart. O Lord, the cheeks of your blackish lotus face, which is encircled by locks of curling hair, have become reddened like bimba fruit due to Mother Yashoda's kisses. What more can I describe than this? Millions of opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind. O Lord O Master, O Lord, be pleased upon me. I am drowning in an ocean of sorrow, and am almost like a dead man. Please shower the rain of mercy on me. Uplift me and protect me with your nectarian vision. O Lord Damodar, in your form as a baby, Mother Yashoda bound you to a grinding stone with a rope for tying cows. You then freed the sons of Kuvera, Manigriva, and Nalukavara, who were cursed to stand as trees, and you gave them the chance to become your devotees. Please bless me in this same way. I have no desire for liberation into your effulgence. O Lord, the entire universe was created by Lord Brahma, who was born from your abdomen, which was bound with a rope by Mother Yashoda. To this rope I offer my humble obeisances. I offer my obeisances to your most beloved Srimati Radharani and to your unlimited pastimes. Shri Shri Radha Damodara Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. So I'll read a little bit from Prabhupada Nectar this morning when Srila Prabhupada was in Mayapur. Starting on a walk from the temple in Mayapur, Prabhupada pointed to some plants and asked what they were. "They are only weeds," replied one of his disciple managers. "They have no value." "Everything has a value," said Prabhupada, "but you don't know it. You don't know how to utilize it, but everything has value." Another time, walking by the kitchen near the ladies' bathroom, Prabhupada noticed a bad odor. He turned to the sannyasi disciples walking beside him. "Why is no one complaining?" Prabhupada objected. "This is such a bad smell. Why are none of you complaining?" Prabhupada explained that they should immediately complain when there was some sign of the mode of ignorance. The devotees were supposed to be developing at least the mode of sattva-gun, so when they came in contact with the lower mode, the tamagun, they should make a complaint. Commenting on Srila Prabhupada's mood in Mayapur, Bhavananda Goswami said if a water tap on the land was dripping only once every 3 hours, then Srila Prabhupada would come at exactly the time it dripped, see it, and say, "Just see, Krishna's energy is being wasted." Prabhupada was especially vigilant within the Mayapur building. When he found that the brahmacharis did not keep their rooms clean enough, he said, "Brahmachari means dirty." He said the building was meant for guests, and if the devotees were not keeping it clean enough, then they should move out. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So don't mind me when I pull scraps out of the compost bucket and say there's still fruit left on this peel. So we have a lot of sponsors today for the Giwiks and other things, so let me read them all to you first, and then we give them a big Haribol. The sponsors for the Giwiks today: Hemchand Tularam, Prangovinda Prabhu, Seva Radhika Devi Dasi for the 30th birthday of her husband, Madhavacharya Das, and Vijayananda Prabhu for Kirtita's birthday. So we thank them all very much and give them your blessings that they'll have a long life in Krishna consciousness. The Mangalartik Sweets were sponsored today by Janava Sundari and Parma Karuna in honor of their son Nitai's 3rd birthday. Happy birthday to Nitai. Is he in here? No, he's gone outside. But all blessings to him too. Also, today is the 44th wedding anniversary of Tamohar and Mantrini. Hare Krishna. They are a very exemplary couple in Krishna consciousness for many, many, many devotees, especially as they lead the Grahasta committee, but also here in New Raman Reti in particular. They are great examples and inspirations to us all here. I have to mention also that I had a notice this morning that His Holiness Jayapataka Swami was taken to a hospital in Delhi. He was at meetings in Tirupati, so if he went all the way to Delhi, it's probably serious, and he's having some liver issues. We ask all the devotees to please pray for him, and if it's Krishna's desire, please keep him with us for many years still to come. Please pray for Jayapataka Swami's health. Also, today is Harinam in Gainesville. That's every Friday at 13th and University. That's at 5 o'clock. You meet there. It's Kartik month. I don't have to remind you, but it's a great time to go out on Harinam. Tomorrow is a football game at University of Florida. We leave from the temple at 5 p.m., meet at Krishna House at 5:30 p.m., and do Harinam for a couple of hours there at the stadium. Also, I want to remind you that Govardhan Puja is a big festival here in New Raman Reti. We get 1,000 people at least, maybe 1,500 people will come. It's we celebrate it on a Sunday, that's the 26th, and we have no sponsors right now for the feast or the hill or the decoration. So if you would like to participate in that, make a donation for Govardhan Puja, please just call the temple office, put it in the hundi, and mark it for Govardhan Puja. We would very much appreciate it. All right, so these are the devotees who assisted their spiritual master addressing the deities today. Shishi Radha Shamasundar, Jai Gauri Devi Dasi, Chota Radha Shamasundar, Karaneshwari Devi Dasi, Shishi Krishna Balaram, Akuti Devi Dasi, Chota Krishna Balaram, Manjari Sundari Devi Dasi, Shishi Gornitai, Anandavardhani Devi Dasi, Chota Gornitai, Leela Devi Dasi, and the Gurus and Lord Nrsingadev, Chaitra Guru Das. Nanda Prabhu is giving class today.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijan Balaba Girivardhari. Gopijan Balaba Girivardhari. Jasodhanandana Vraja Jana Rangana. Jasodhanandana Vraja Jana Rangana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad, Paramahansa, Parivajakacarya, Astatar Satyashri Srimani's Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Kartik Varta Ki Jai, Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri, Guru, and Gauranga. Glories to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. 29. 30. Thank you. Thanks. Hare Krishna. Today we're reading from Canto 10, Chapter 51, which is the deliverance of Muchakunda. We're doing text 30 to 34. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Before reciting this, we can say this together if you'd like. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator and commentator. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotees. All that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Hare Krishna. Text 30. Thank you. We'll chant this responsively. Shru Shru Shatam Avyalikam. Shru Shru Shatam Avalikam. Shru Shru Shatam Avalikam. Asmakam Narapungava. Asmakam Narapungava. Svajanma Karma Gotram Va. Svajanma Karma Gotram Va. Katayatam Yadiro. Katyatam Yadirochate. Katyatam Yadirochate. Shushushatam Avyalikam. Asmakam Narapungava. Svajanma Karma Gotram Va. Katyatam Yadirochate. Please chant. Shushushtatam Avyalikam. Shushushtatam Asmakam Narapungava. Svatam Karma Gotram Va. Katyatam Yadirochate. Shushushtatam Avyalikam. Asmakam Narapungava. Janma Karma Gotram Va. Katyatam Yadirochate. Ladies. Shushushatam Avyalikam. Asmakam Narapungava. Svajanma Karma Gotram Va. Katyatam Yadirochate. Somebody else over there. Shushushatam Avyalikam. Asmakam Narapungava. Svajanma Karma Gotram Va. Katyatam Yadirochate. Shushushatam. Who are eager to hear. Avyalikam. Truthfully. Asmakam. To us. Nara. Among men. Pumgava. O most eminent. Sva. Your. Janma. Birth. Karma. Activity. Gotram. Lineage. Va. And. Katyatam. May it be told. Yadi. If. Rochate. It pleases. So this is Muchakunda speaking. He's saying, O best among men, if you like, please truly describe your birth, activities, and lineage to us who are eager to hear. Let's repeat. O best among men, if you like, please truly describe your birth, activities, and lineage to us who are eager to hear. So what part of this verse do you think is the most important? Hearing. The eager to hear. Shushushatam. Yes, exactly. Purport by Srila Prabhupada's disciples and translation and purport by them. When the Supreme Lord descends to this world, he certainly becomes Narapungava, the most eminent member of human society. Of course, the Lord is not actually a human being, and Muchakunda's questions will lead to a clarification of this point. Thus the term Shushushatam, to us who are sincerely eager to hear, indicates that Muchakunda is inquiring in a noble way for his own and others' benefit. We'll do the other verses in a bit. Oma gina timirandasya jinanjana salakaya chaksu umilitam jena tasma shigurave namaha vanchakalpatribhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam panamevyo vaishnavevyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna. So in our story here, Muchakunda, who had been asleep for so long in the cave, in that cave that was in a far distant place, thinking no one would disturb him, he would get some relief from his hard labor. For so long he served the demigods. Although a human being, he was asked to help the demigods. So we can imagine just how powerful Muchakunda was. He was asked to help the demigods, and he fought with them very sincerely, with all of his strength, for such an extended amount of time that when he finally finished his duties there, he asked for the benediction. Just let me sleep. All my muscles and body is totally devastated by this fight, and I just want to sleep, undisturbed. And just in case Indra was going to come and ask him, oh, please, we need one more thing, he said, and whoever comes and wakes me untimely, let him be burned to ashes by my glance. So that would deter anybody from going to him untimely. Except for whom? Who was the one who actually didn't know what was going on? Kalyavana, right. He didn't know what was going on. But that was Krishna's also so intelligent arrangement. Because Kalyavana, being born in an untouchable situation, lower birth, Krishna didn't want to deal with him directly. So he led him on. And he followed him. He went out of the cave, ran out of the fort, followed him, and Krishna knew, being the all-omniscient Supreme Personality of Godhead, he knew exactly where Muchakunda was, and he knew exactly what Muchakunda's potency and benediction was, and he thought, that's a good arrangement. So he ran right to the cave, Muchakunda close behind, Kalyavana close behind him, almost going to touch him, but he wasn't able to touch him. Why wasn't he able to touch him? Not everybody but Prangovinda, excuse me. Hare Krishna. With all due respect, mountain of respect. Why wasn't Kalyavana able to touch Krishna? He was right there. He was so close to him. Who said that? Oh, thanks, Josh. He wasn't pious enough. He wasn't purified by the process of devotional service. So you can't approach Krishna in that way. He wasn't pious enough. He didn't have the bhakti punya. Not just material piety, but bhakti punya. So he couldn't touch Krishna. So Krishna led him to the cave. Muchakunda's there asleep. Kalyavana, coming from the bright light into the dark cave, thinks, now it's Krishna, and he's pretending to be asleep. And of all audacious things to do, even thinking that it was Krishna, he goes to kick him with his foot. But he got a quick lesson there. And Muchakunda woke up untimely, looked at him, and we'll see that. Muchakunda is going to comment on that in a couple of verses. And so here, Muchakunda's now looking and seeing the Lord in his beautiful form, in his four-handed form, and he's glorifying him, and he's not 100% sure. He's almost sure that this is the Supreme Personality of God. So he asks. And particularly, what struck me here was this word, Shushushatam. He's very eager to hear, who are you? Tell me about your activities and all your pastimes and your forefathers and everything. Tell me about him. I'm very eager to hear who you really are. So that word Shushushatam, or derivatives of Shushushatam, are mentioned throughout the Bhagavatam. And oftentimes it's in reference to the sages. the sages are saying, we are very eager to hear. From Sutta Goswami, the sages at Naimisharanya are eager to hear from Sutta Goswami. Then in the other circumstance, Maharaj Pariksit. Maharaj Pariksit was very eager to hear from Sukadev Goswami. So much so that for 7 days and 7 nights, he wasn't bothered by hunger or thirst because he was hearing the nectarine pastimes of the Lord. Previously, before the situation where he had gotten cursed, he was hunting in the forest and he became disturbed by hunger and thirst, and therefore led to the whole incident with the Muni, where he garlanded the Muni with a snake, and Shringi, his son, cursed him. But now that he was there with Sukadev Goswami, the most exalted devotee of the Lord, hearing from him about the nectarian pastimes of the Lord, that even for 7 days continuously, he wasn't disturbed by hunger and thirst because he was drinking through his ears the pastimes and the nectar, and becoming nourished spiritually by the nectarian pastimes that Sukadev Goswami was relating. So this very quality of being eager to hear is what we need to cultivate ourselves in our spiritual journey. We need to cultivate that eagerness to hear, and especially we can take advantage of this auspicious month of Kartik to increase our hearing and to pray to the Lord for the benediction, because it's actually quite a benediction. That benediction that we'll get the desire, we'll get the taste to hear. Because that taste to hear, that eagerness to hear about the pastimes of the Lord, that is the qualification, practically, the qualification needed. Because as even in the prayers that we recited before the class, by hearing about the activities of the personality of Godhead, the heart becomes cleansed. And then with the cleansed heart, then one can approach the Supreme Lord. So, and the activities of the hearing in and of itself is that bhakti punya, that pious activity that's there. That's simultaneously the qualification that we need, and it's also giving us the qualification. So, cultivate hearing. And what's the result of hearing? Then remembrance, and then also speaking. If we don't, and so if we don't cultivate hearing of transcendental topics, then what's in the mind is mundane, what comes out of the mouth is mundane, and then the cycle is increased. But if what goes in the ears is transcendental and it rolls around in your head and your mind and your thoughts, then it will come out. Then cultivate. Cultivate means that it's something that perhaps doesn't come natural. Cultivate means that you have to work at it. Just like the cultivator of a field. It's not that you just throw the seeds in the field and mystically you've got the perfect garden. As anyone who does a little bit of work in the fields knows, that it's a lot of work. You have to cultivate the ground, you have to put the seeds in at the right time, etc., etc., etc. If you're not familiar with the actual work of it, you're familiar with the theory of it. The watering, the light, the timing, the weeding, all of them are very important, and they're very important to us in our process of devotional service. But let's at least cultivate the desire to hear. Hear, and perhaps we have so many duties and so many things that we might think, oh, I'm not able to hear this and that. No, figure out a way. There's so many devices that we can use to increase our hearing. Little Walkmans and this and that, and CDs and computers, so many things, and utilize that, and then speak what you hear. Because if you speak what you've heard on the transcendental topics, a couple of things will happen. First of all, you'll realize, oh, I missed that point. When you go to explain a story and you think, oh, then what happened next? Oh, no, then you have to remember, then you have to go read it again. Oh, this happened. Or if you're going to explain trying to explain trying to explain a philosophical point, you think, oh my gosh, there's a little bit more to that than what I'm saying. So you need to, but we need to cultivate that. So by cultivation, the result will become more eager to hear. So that's one important point. Hare Krishna. Let's go to text 31. We can do this together. Chant the Sanskrit together. Thanks. Vayam tu purusha vyagra aikshvaka kshata bandavaha muchukunda iti prokto yovanasmaja prabho. Translation by Prabhupada's disciples. As for ourselves, O tiger among men, we belong to a family of fallen Kshatriyas, descendants of King Ikshvaku. My name is Muchukunda, my lord, and I am the son of Yovanasva. Just a note here. So Muchukunda, he was inquiring from the Lord as to who he was. But as Prabhupada explains in Krishna book, he thought it proper, better I introduce myself first. I'm inquiring, but better I introduce myself. So he's explaining, here I am, I'm Muchukunda, I'm the son of Yovanasva. In the word for word, and actually if you remember, if you have a good memory, a few verses back, it explained that, the verses explain that Muchukunda is actually the son of Mandata. So here in the word for word it says, when it says Yovanasya, it says of Yovanasa, Mandata, the son of Yovanasva. So there's a very interesting story about Yovanasva and his descendants in the 9th canto. So Yovanasva Maharaj was a great powerful king who had a very opulent kingdom and 100 wives, and everything was going very nicely for him, except he was very morose that he didn't have a son, even though he had 100 wives. So he decided, I'm out of here. And he goes to the forest and he takes Vanaprast along with his 100 wives. So in the forest, he's looking very morose. And the wives and everybody's very morose because why? They're not thinking of what they're there for. They're thinking of what they're lacking. They're thinking of, we don't have a son, we don't have a son. So the sages in the forest noticed their fate, because Prabhupada explains, right? The face is the index of the mind. So you can see on the face sometimes the anxiety. So the sages said, oh, we see you're in such anxiety. What's your difficulty? And he explained, oh, we don't have a son. And the sages said, well, we will perform a sacrifice in which you will be able to get a son. So it's not the first time that people go from Vanaprastha to Grihastha. Oh, sorry. Okay, anyway. So the sages performed the sacrifice and duly sanctified the water meant to be taken by Yovanasva's wife the next day. But what happened was, in the nighttime, Yovanasva woke up and he was very thirsty. He was searching around for some water and he saw the pot of water and he drank it. And when the sages woke up in the morning, they said, oh, who has done this work of drinking the water that was meant for it was sanctified water that was meant for the wife to take in the morning? And when they found out that it was Yovanasva, they said, oh, all glories to destiny. How strong is destiny, the destiny of the Lord, that Yovanasva has drunk this water? It was destiny. And they offered their obeisances to the Supreme Lord because of it. I could make it, anyway, I'm going to come back to that point, destiny. Okay, so in due course of time, you probably won't be surprised to know that in due course of time, Yovanasva gave birth to a son from his right abdomen was born, who had all the kingly qualities and was a great leader. That was Mandata, Muchukunda's father. Okay, so Mandata Maharaj was born in that quite unusual way. But then what happened was, what babies do when they're born, they cry for milk. So Mandata cried very loud and for a very long time for milk, and the Brahmin said, who's going to feed this child? And then Indra appeared. Lord Indra appeared because the sacrifice for the sun was Indra Yagya. And he said, do not worry, you can drink me. And he put his right forefinger in the baby's mouth. So Mandatta grew up with the nectar of Indra's something or other. Life, I guess, okay? So that was Mandatta. So Mandatta then, back to Yovanasva, okay? So Yovanasva, the original king. So Yovanasva then became, because he had been blessed by the sages, he didn't stay in that state of consciousness. Because he was blessed by the sages, he actually continued to make spiritual progress and became a self-realized soul. So that's a happy ending there for Yovanasva and his wives. So then Mandatta, he grew up and had 3 children. Parukshika something. Do you remember this Parushika? Yes. Shh. Parushika, Ambarish, I remembered Ambarish. And Muchikunda. Those are his, sorry. Those are his 3 sons. But he also had, so this Ambarish is not the Ambarish that we're familiar with that had the incident with Durvasa Muni. It's a different Ambarish, okay? So this Ambarish, but Muchikunda also had 50 sisters. And these sisters just happened to be, remember the story of Sobari Muni? So Sobari Muni's meditating under the water so he won't be disturbed by anything. But it just so happens that he saw some fish copulating and became agitated, and that got in his mind and just burned his mind so much that he stopped his meditation and he approached the king, who was Mandatta. Actually, I don't know who the king was. And he approached the king. Was it Mandatta? Yeah. But it was... Okay, thanks. Because it said any of my daughters can accept. Okay, so he approached... Thank you. He approached the king and he said, can I marry your daughter? So if you think of the situation, Sobari Muni, after having meditated in the water, just like if you're in the ocean for a long time, your fingers get all wiggly and pruny looking. So imagine what Sobari Muni looked like after he came out of the water for meditation. He didn't look like the epitome of a handsome man, let's say that, okay? So when Mandatta saw him, he did some very sagacious, quick thinking, and he said, any one of my daughters can marry whomever they like. And therefore he was thinking that he was sidestepping the issue of giving his daughter to a not so appealing looking man. And so Sobari Muni, he could understand, this is happening because of the way I look. So he went and got, I think from the Ashwini Kumars, got the benediction, he got a handsome body. And when he went into the palace where the ladies were, every single lady wanted to marry him. And they started fighting. He should be my husband. No, he should be mine. So he married all 50 ladies. That was Sobari Muni. Anyway, so Mandatta also had Muchikunda as his son. So, sorry, now we're back to Muchikunda, okay? So that was that verse. Next verse, we can say it together. Excuse me. I'm going to come to that in the next one. Okay? Thanks for the reminder, though. I appreciate it. Ananda Tirtha Prabhu? Appreciate it. Thank you. I need all these coachings. Thank you. Appreciate it. The purport. It is common in Vedic culture that a Kshatriya will humbly introduce himself as Kshatriya Bandhu, a mere relative in a Kshatriya family, or in other words, a fallen Kshatriya. In ancient Vedic culture, to claim a particular status on the basis of one's family relations was itself indicative of a fallen position. Kshatriyas and Brahmins should be given status according to their merit, by their qualities of work and character. When the caste system in India became degraded. People proudly claimed to be relatives of Kshatriyas and Brahmins, though in the past such a claim, unaccompanied by tangible qualifications, indicated a fallen position. So text 32, we can do this together, please. Chira prajagara shranto nidraya patitendriya shayesmin vijane kamam kenapya utapito duna. I was fatigued after remaining awake for a long time, and my senses were overwhelmed by sleep. Thus I slept comfortably here in this solitary place until just now someone woke me. Text 33, together. So pibasmi krito nunam amiyenaiva papmana Srimal lakshito mitra shashana. So here Muchakunda says a very interesting thing. He says, the man who woke me was burnt to ashes by the reaction of his sins. Just then I saw you, possessing a glorious appearance and the power to chastise your enemies. Purport, Kalyavana had declared himself the enemy of Sri Krishna and the Yadu dynasty. Through Muchakunda, Sri Krishna destroyed the opposition of that foolish barbarian. So what struck me is that first sentence in the verse. The man who woke me was burned to ashes by the reaction of his sins. So there's no sentimentality there, but it's based on Shastra. That sentence is based on Shastra. That nothing happens. And it's one of the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. It brings us, by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, it brings us to the understanding, I am responsible for my own position. We have to take responsibility when we understand the whole, and we can't do that sentimentally, but we need to understand the whole evolution, you could say, the evolution or the progression of action and reaction and the like. In the Padma Purana, there's this verse that's quoted often, and I'm going to give it a try. Aparabda palam papam kuta bijam palonmukam kramenaiva praliyeta Vishnu bhakti ratattamam. And, let's see, I have various translations of it. But anyway, here's one from, this is how Prabhupada encapsulates this verse in the Nectar of Devotion. In the Nectar of Devotion, in the first chapter, do you know what the chapter title is of the first chapter of Nectar of Devotion? I'll give you a hint. How many? There's characteristics of pure devotional service. So there's 6 characteristics of pure devotional service. And in the first one, which is called Relief from All Material Distress, Srila Prabhupada explains this verse in the Padma Purana. He explains the whole, how sinful activities and their resultant actions affect us. So here's what he says in Nectar Devotion. It's stated in the Padma Purana that there are 4 kinds of effects due to sinful activities, which are listed as follows. 1, the effect which is not yet fructified. 2, the effect which is lying as seed. 3, the effect which is already mature. And the effect which is almost mature. It is also stated in this verse by the Padma Purana, the last line, it is also stated that these 4 effects become immediately vanquished for those who surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and become engaged in his devotional service in full Krishna consciousness. So let's try to understand what Prabhupada's saying there. So he's explaining, and the Vedas and the Puranas and so many places explain that the cause of sinful activity, the original cause is ignorance, avidya. avidya. Avidya is the cause of sinful activities, because if somebody was in knowledge at what happens, the resultant activities, the results, then they wouldn't commit the sinful activities. So therefore, I'm kind of scooting to the end, therefore, the process of Krishna consciousness, by giving one transcendental knowledge, it goes right to the cause. In other words, it eradicates the cause of sinful activities. And not only that, but it, as Prabhupada explains in many places, it's like we have these seeds. From ignorance comes material desires. And from those desires, it doesn't stay on that platform of desire. It comes to a gross platform of activity. And from sinful desires comes activities. And from those activities, then there's two results that are that affect the jiva. And it's called parabdha. The effect that, the result that one gets suffering, emotional or mental suffering or physical suffering from the result of an activity, but also there's another subtle effect, which is the desire to do it again. That inclination, kuttam, it's an inclination. So take any sinful activity. Just take, for example, in Nectar Devotion, Prabhupada gives the example of a thief. So the thief might go out and rob the bank, right? So he goes, and he's been meditating on it, he goes out and he robs the bank. And right after robbing the bank, he's not necessarily arrested right away. So let's say in this case, he's not arrested right away. But still the reaction, the reaction is there. He's going to get the reaction. Whether he gets it physically in this life or in the next life, he's going to get the reaction. So he robs the bank, he's not arrested yet, but he's always in anxiety, wondering when they're going to knock on the door and catch him. He's always in anxiety. Something Prabhupada also gives remember in Prabhupada's life when he was walking one time in Calcutta with a policeman, when they were just walking near his house, and some people saw the policeman and they ran. And that surprised Prabhupada. And so he mentioned something to the person, I guess it was a friend, and he said that's because they're guilty and they're always in anxiety when they're going to come and get caught. They're guilty for something. So back to our bank robber here. So he's always in anxiety, but sooner or later he's going to be caught and put into jail. But even if in this life he's not caught, let's just say, but still the reaction comes. And that's what Prabhupada's talking about, the effects that are lying as seed, the effects that are have not fructified, but they're there. And the effects that we're going through in this life is the result. This is our full effect of our past sinful activities. And Prabhupada says that there are, 4 categories of results, like born in a low family, uneducated, ugly, and legal implications in your life. Those are gross effects of sinful activities from previous lives. You can't do much about it in this life, what's happening. But one can engage in devotional service, and that process of engaging in devotional service is like frying the seeds of all the other things that are waiting to fructify. Because if that desire isn't taken out of the heart, then even though one might perform, some special tapasya or some yajna to counteract the ill effects of something, if the desire to commit the sinful activity isn't removed from the heart, then sooner or later one acts again and goes through the whole cycle of incurring the reaction, and which obviously entangles one again and again in fruitive activities. Just like the example that, the very astonishing example that we've heard so many times of the result of eating meat, that one has to take birth for as many hairs that there are on the body of that animal. over and over again. And not only that, and this is the thing, not only that, but the kutam, the desire to do it again, is placed in the heart. It's a really bad deal. How do you get free from that? So that's the whole point of pure devotional service, that there's no way to work out our karma except through the process of devotional service, which burns up the resultant activities of our past fruitive activities. There's no way to work it out. Well, I'll counteract if I do this, I'll do that. No way, because every single activity entangles us again and again. So therefore, Muchakunda said, the man who awoke me was burned to ashes by the reactions of his past sin. It fructified in that way. And that was my point about destiny, about Mandatta, who drank the water. No, poor Yovanasva, who drank the water. Somehow or other, it was there in his chart. So he drank the water. So what does that mean? Like a practical application in our daily life. So then we need to give up lamenting. Oh, I don't have this, I wanted that, or oh, woe is me, I don't have the perfect blah, 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 whatever. We have to understand our position, we're by the result of our past activities, we're going through what we're doing, but engaging wholeheartedly in devotional service, that's the way to go to the root of the matter. As explained by Lord Brahma in the 10th canto, 14th chapter, 8th verse. Tate nukam pam susamik shamanam. Whatever happens to me, the devotee's attitude, Prabhupada says right there also in the Nectar Devotion, that whatever happens to a devotee, he should use this verse from the 10th canto, 14th chapter, verse number 8. That should be the guide. That should be our guide. Good things are coming in our life, and we should not think, oh, this is because of my endeavor, I did this, I arranged that, therefore I'm getting a good result. No, we should think these good things are happening by the grace of the Supreme Lord. Not that I deserve it. He's so kind, he's giving me this, even though I don't deserve it. And then when the bad things happen, we shouldn't think, why is this happening to me? I went to Mangalartik today, or I did my Kartik Vrad, or I whatever. I don't deserve this. No, actually, when we understand, again, the amount of fruitive reactions that we have in store, in our own personal storehouse, from previous bazillion, quadrillion, mahamillion lifetimes that we've had in this material world, acting and reacting in so many ways, that storehouse, we obviously suffering a little something, but we're thinking, Krishna's so kind, I deserve worse. And he's so kind, he's just giving me a token, a little representation. And what to speak of the position of someone who's aspiring in devotional service, devotional service is directly under the shelter of Srimati Radharani, the internal potency of the Lord. So Krishna takes that storehouse of past sinful reactions that we have, and he custom fits it. He whittles it down and custom fits it. What we need and what we can use to make the most advancement in this life. So instead of lamenting and moaning and groaning and so many things that we do about difficulties that we're in, we should actually cultivate. And again, it's not that it comes natural. Oh, I just smashed my new car. Oh, yippee. No. It doesn't come natural, but at the same time we can cultivate. Krishna is so kind that he's giving me this difficulty so that I can learn how not to be attached to material things or whatever. He's giving us these things so that we can make progress. He's seeing what we need, and He's giving us the medicine to make progress. And if we have that attitude, then life becomes a little more bearable. And what to speak of the progress ye shall make. The progress we'll make. We have one more verse. We can read. Oh, look at that. Thanks. Okay. Yeah, we have one. Text 34. We can read together. 34. Tejasa. Right. Tejasa te vishayena buddhi drastum na shankumna hatau jasa mahabhaga manaiyo sidehinam. Your unbearably brilliant effulgence overwhelms our strength, and thus we cannot fix our gaze upon you. O exalted one, you are to be honored by all embodied beings. There's no purport there. So we can see the exalted position of Muchukunda now that he's finally awoke and spoken. Of course, when he was lying in the cave for many, many eons, one might think, oh, this lad's just in the mode of ignorance. But Prabhupada says how you can tell a person's learning is when he opens his mouth. What comes out? So again, if we cultivate hearing transcendental topics, then what will come out of our mouth will be transcendental vibration. And so we can see here by this example, how Muchukunda, it's not by chance that he's able to offer such beautiful, transcendentally realized prayers. And it's also not by chance that Kalyavana was burnt to ashes by the reactions of his past sins. So Muchukunda, because he cultivated transcendental knowledge in his previous life, that was never lost. And even though having slept for so long, he still remembered all that transcendental realization that he had, and he could recognize that that person standing in front of him was none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead whom he had worshipped and prayed to previously, as will come along in the next verses. Hare Krishna. So are there any comments or questions? Janmastami ji.
This point about cultivating hearing, the Sutta Goswami in the second chapter, he gives a formula which seems to be, sometimes difficult for ISKCON devotees to apply. He says, Shushusho Sharadana Sha Vasudeva Kataruchi Shan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tuta Nashevana. By serving those great souls who are completely free from vice, then one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. So it kind of fits that work now, samadhi later. And so a lot of times it seems that we focus on service but neglect the hearing. So it seems like there's has to be some synthesis, of actually cultivating the hearing as well as doing the service. Because you see, sometimes devotees, many, many, many years, they're working really hard in the ISKCON mission, but they haven't really connected so much with hearing. So I wonder if you could speak, maybe I already did
You think you did very nicely speak on that, but it's so true, because, but even so, one could say that hard work for the mission definitely purifies the senses and the mind, and gradually, what's the result, if there's been some hearing, is that one will develop that taste. But your point is very well taken, because unless we cultivate that hearing, then just work, Prabhupada says, something to the effect of, all this hard Hari Bol, and then you'll go away, If we don't cultivate it, and it really needs to be a sincere endeavor, because otherwise the nature of things is that there'll be so many obstacles, and if you don't realize what you're doing or why you're doing it, then the obstacles will pull you away. And and right there is the formula. Serving the great souls, or in the other verse that we said in the beginning of class, by rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that's troublesome to the heart is completely destroyed. So what's the greatest service that we can render to Srila Prabhupada? Yes, we need to do XYZ service, but we need to do the service of hearing and chanting about the glories of the Lord. And that way, that'll give the most benefit to all the people. Thank you for bringing that up. Kesava Prabhu?
You were mentioning the point about people suffering in this life for maybe some activities performed in the previous life. And it reminds me, once in a while at the prison, we get some prisoners who would speak like that I haven't done anything.
Oh.
They have wrongly accused me and put me in jail. And so our response is the same thing, that you might have done something in the past which you haven't suffered for, and now you're getting the reaction for it.
Yeah.
Or
There's an
sometimes
interesting, excuse me.
Sometimes people say like that too, that I haven't done anything in this lifetime, why should I have to suffer?
Yeah. And why would they say that? Out of ignorance, not knowing the result of what they're doing. But also there's an interesting element in how sinful activities play about, and that's the time factor. That time factor, it's not that we do an activity and we immediately get the result. Sometimes it does happen. That's Krishna karma. Sometimes it does happen. You do something and you get the result right away. That's very fortunate, because then you can make the connection really quickly. But the time factor is there. It takes time. Just like in the example is given, like a seed. When you plant the seed in the ground, sometimes you can totally forget about it, and then all of a sudden, a week later or whatever, a couple of weeks later, maybe even 3 weeks later, you finally notice the shoot coming out of the ground. But what's happening is in the meantime, there's stuff going on, but we just don't see it. So there's reaction that's going on that we just don't see, and then gradually it comes up and, as they say, rears its ugly head. Mukunda ji?
Just one point in relation to Janmastami Prabhu's question. Actually, all of the services that devotees did over the course of years, whether it was preaching, book distribution, temple seva, anything, the real motive was that we would develop so much deep love and affection for Gurudev, for Srila Prabhupada. So this is the essential element, was the love between the disciple and the Guru. This is called Vishrambena Guru Seva. If you distributed millions of books, but this affection for Guru didn't develop, then there was some loophole, or there was something wrong in the process of your service. This is how it should be seen, because you could have distributed millions of books, opened temples, did many things. But if the deep love and affection didn't develop for Guru, whom manifested in this world to save us, then that service had some problem. Now, it could be corrected. Even when Gurudev takes samadhi, that can be corrected if the disciple then will develop the mood, okay, now I will hear and chant, do sudden bhajan, do so many services, developing this mood of Vishrambena Guru Seva, deep love and affection for Guru. So it wasn't really the services, because we have to think, suppose I didn't distribute books. Would Srila Prabhupada have found somebody else to empower to do it? Certainly. So the real thing was how much he gave opportunity that I could love him, and that he showed so much love for me. This relationship was the key thing, not the external services that went on.
Mahatma, and then Prangovinda Prabhu. Mahatma, raise your hand. They don't know who you are. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Bir Krishna Maharaj was giving class this morning in North Carolina.
And where? Slow.
North Carolina.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
And he was saying that how important these points that you just mentioned in class, because the world is taking this thread of Krishna consciousness in different ways, kirtan, meditation, different ways. But in Fiji, he was in Fiji and he was invited to an event. but he couldn't do the ceremony because in that country only certified brahmanas could perform, you know. So he says, well, I'm certified sannyasi, so anyway, I was there. But the point is that this brahmana that was performing the ceremony, he later on found smoking a cigarette or whatever. So really we're not, you know, especially in our community, I say Prabhupada did not have that goal. But the goal was just like it was mentioned before, to cultivate the knowledge, to be real, true brahmanas, not certified by a paper, but something that would change humanity or benefit Mother Bhumi, Mother Earth.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Pran Govinda Prabhu.
Needs of Guru. That's what that time, desperate need, the disciple cry. The tears, the tears become the extinguishing power to destroy material existence. The disciple immediately become liberated and he can perform pure devotional service. So the need of Prabhupada's mercy has to be felt within each of our heart. But why do I need Prabhupada for? So there has to be some association that what is the goal of life, that ignorance has to. In the point I just was going to mention that Bhaktivinoda Thakur emphasized on Chaitanya Aprarabdha phalam papam, that verse you quoted, Aprarabdha phalam papam kutam Pramaneva praliyate Vishnu bhakti ratatmana. And then he composed further, and Chaitanya Chaitamrita also explained that Prarabdha karma kabu nahi khai phala bhoga vina kabu brahma bhuta jiva phala bhoga lagi janama marana lavu. Kintu he naam tavaspurti ole ekanti janera aro Prarabdha aprarabdha kichu nahi thake bede gaye baro baro. That this is the Veda, the spiritual literature is emphasizing, declaring very loudly, broadcasting, that the importance of holy name, that prarabdha karma that came with this body. Now you are speaking about Krishna Katha and we are listening. Our aprarabdha karma, which is not yet fructified, which has a tendency to repeat kutam and bijam, fine, all things can be destroyed. Just by hearing today. Just by hearing, those things automatically get destroyed. But what about the karma that came with this body? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says it is not going to be destroyed. So therefore every jiva must chant Krishna's name. Just little sprout manifest in the heart. Immediately the prarabdha, aprarabdha, everything turn into ashes. And he gave the example of that braided ropes. Only in India I saw that. I don't know if you are not familiar in the West, I don't know how to explain. That they lit on it and then you see that the same form is there but it cannot bind. And then you gave the seed example. And the Prabhupada gave also example of the snake whose poisonous teeth is pulled out. Even though the devotee, those who are advanced devotees, they may apparently do something like karmi, but we should not judge them that they are not binded by the karma of anybody. Prabhupada made it very clear, even in Jara Bharat's case, that he was in Bhava Bhakti, even they apparently fell down, but it was a Krishna's arrangement to establish something. It was not a part of karma. Otherwise I'll commit offense.
Jai. Ramiya Prabhu. And then Kish.
A couple of different questions. One was, it seems that Krishna is establishing here that low-class people cannot actually approach him. So
It might seem like that, but actually we know that somehow or other this has all got to do with Leela. And if that was what Krishna was establishing, then would be out to lunch, that's for sure. So he's not, he's sometimes, Krishna, he's independent. Sometimes he can act according to the rules and regulations of society, and sometimes he can act outside of the rules and regulations of society. Either way, he's not contaminated or this or that. But that's not what he's establishing. He was just giving Kali Yavanna a chance. You have a little...
I'm sorry, I just heard a class another day Prabhupada said that Kshatriya Dharma, Krishna is establishing Kshatriya Dharma. Thank you. Kshatriya Dharma means if there is a war, Obama will be in the front before the soldier. This is, I'm just paraphrasing Prabhupada's word. Says that the king would be in the front, not the soldier. So Prabhupada said that Lord Krishna actually born in a Kshatriya, son of Vasudeva and Devaki. So he is establishing the Kshatriya Dharma. Kal Jaban is not a Kshatriya. He come from a outcast. So Krishna choose not to fight because this is not a proper etiquette. So Krishna was maintaining the etiquette.
Thanks. We had still more things. Hold on. Wow, we got a lot of
The
things
other
today. Yeah.
part of the question is that we're talking here about the sinful reactions getting destroyed, and in the scriptures there's different recommendations, just like circumambulating Tulsi and so many activities, all your sinful actions are destroyed. So what is actually destroyed? Is it even the seeds are destroyed, or the seeds are not destroyed, just the other activities, reactions?
That's a big topic. That's one of Janmastami's favorite topics. It's a big topic, but if you will allow me to give a short answer, it depends on consciousness. It's not just that mechanically walking around Tulsi Devi or this or that will get immediately elevated to the level of pure devotional service. Our consciousness has to be there. But there is effect by walking, circumambulating Tulsi Devi or taking Charanamrita. There is effect. Again, that's mentioned in Nectar of Devotion. When it's listed by taking Charanamrita, you get this result. By wearing a Mahaprasadam garland, you get that result. And so then, I think it's on page 111 on Nectar of Devotion. Sometimes someone will say, well, I took Charanamrita so many times. I circumambulated Tulsi Devi, I wore the garland, and still I got sick, I got that. Or the Prabhupada says some of these results can happen immediately in some special cases. But those benefits are given to attract the mind to spiritual activities and distract it from material pleasures. And the results will come for most people in due course of time. That's the simple answer, the short answer. Is that okay for now? Did you have something else? Because Kish was waiting too, very patiently. But if you have another thing, okay. Kishore. Here comes the mic.
This is in addition to what you were saying, Mukunda Prabhu. Just wanted to point out that actually what you expressed is supporting Janmastami Prabhu's view, because if you're doing service and hearing at the same time, then you'll understand that you have, when you're doing service, you're doing it to please Guru Parampara. And if you're not hearing, then you'll do what you were saying.
Thank you for clarifying that. Let's go over here. Manan Mohan Mohini, can you bring the mic over there?
Can you repeat the sentence you said? This is so important. You said something. The intention. Intention is. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in the summary, or maybe it was somebody else. It's the intention of our activities which brings about the result, in our chanting. Intention is really important. Yes, dear?
Okay, in regards to hearing, we know that Srila Prabhupada always stressed our attending and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam class. And he gave a lecture in Mayapur, I'm not sure of the year. And he was speaking, and towards the beginning of the lecture, a devotee left. And Prabhupada said where he is going. And then he said, Galagraha. He said, if we do not hear the Bhagavatam, we will consider the deity as Galagraha, or burden in the neck. And the temples will just become places for, he said, doves and pigeons. So he stressed this very much, our hearing the Bhagavatam.
Thanks. Genevieve, did you want to say something? I was just pointing out that she had a question. Oh, well, thanks. Okay. I just got the signal. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.